There comes a point in life when you begin to understand something uncomfortable. Not everyone who smiles at you is happy for you. Not everyone who says they love you knows how to love you properly. Not everyone who stands close to you is standing with you. Sometimes, the people who hurt you the most are not strangers. They are friends, they are relatives. They are people you trusted, people you opened your heart to, people you defended when others warned you. And sometimes, the danger does not arrive looking dangerous. It arrives wearing familiarity. It speaks gently, it laughs with you, it knows your weaknesses, it knows your history. And because it comes from someone close, you ignore what you would immediately recognize in a stranger. When I speak about demons, I am not asking you to look for monsters hiding inside people. I am speaking about destructive patterns, jealousy, manipulation, dishonesty, control, resentment, cruelty, constant negativity. These are the forces that can slowly destroy peace inside a relationship. And if you do not learn to recognize them, you may spend years trying to prove your loyalty to people who are quietly draining your life. The first sign is simple. Pay attention to how people respond when something good happens to you. Anyone can stand beside you when you are struggling. Sometimes your struggle makes people comfortable. You are not threatening them. You are not moving ahead. You are not becoming something they secretly wish they could become. But success changes the room. Watch carefully. When you receive an opportunity, who celebrates? When you become healthier, happier, stronger, more confident, who becomes distant? When you begin setting higher standards for yourself, who suddenly starts making jokes about you? Envy rarely introduces itself honestly. No one says, "I am jealous of you." Instead, envy hides behind sarcasm. It hides behind criticism. It hides behind fake concern. You've changed. You think you're better than everyone. Don't get too excited. That probably won't work. Sometimes those words are harmless. But when someone repeatedly tries to reduce your confidence whenever you grow, pay attention. A person who truly cares about you does not need you to remain small so that they can feel secure. Real love can survive your growth. Real friendship can survive your success. Healthy people do not feel personally attacked by your progress. The second sign is how you feel after spending time with someone. Your body often notices what your mind tries to excuse. After speaking to certain people, you feel peaceful, you feel understood, you feel stronger. But after speaking to others, you feel confused, drained, guilty, anxious. You replay the conversation for hours. You wonder whether you said something wrong. You begin questioning things you were previously sure about. This does not automatically mean that person is bad, but repeated emotional exhaustion is information. Do not ignore patterns simply because you love someone. Sometimes we believe love means tolerating everything. It does not. Love, without boundaries, becomes self-abandonment. You can care about someone and still recognize that their behavior is unhealthy. You can forgive someone, and still refuse to give them unlimited access to your life. You can love a family member and still protect your peace. Being related to someone does not give them permission to disrespect you. History does not justify harm. The third sign is manipulation through guilt. Manipulative people often know exactly which emotional button to press. They may say, "After everything I've done for you, if you really cared about me, you would do this. Family should always come first. You've become selfish." Notice what is happening. The conversation is no longer about the actual issue. It has become about making you feel guilty enough to surrender your boundary. Healthy relationships allow disagreement. Healthy people can hear the word no. They may not like it, but they respect it. Manipulative people treat your boundary like an attack. They become angry when they cannot control your decision. Remember this. The word no reveals people. When you always agree, everyone appears easy to deal with. Start saying no. Start protecting your time. Start protecting your money. Start protecting your energy. Start refusing disrespect. Then watch. Some people will understand. Others will punish you. That punishment tells you something. The fourth sign is constant competition. There are people who cannot simply enjoy your company. Everything becomes a comparison. If you achieve something, they immediately mention what they achieved. If you tell a story, they have a better story. If you struggle, their struggle was worse. If you succeed, their success was bigger. You begin realizing that the relationship is not built on connection. It is built on ranking, and they must always feel above you. Healthy friends inspire one another. They do not secretly keep score. They can admire your strengths without feeling weakened by them. They can celebrate you without turning the moment back toward themselves. You should never have to hide your happiness to protect someone's ego. The fifth sign is gossip. Watch carefully how someone speaks about people who are not present, because one day you will not be present. If someone constantly exposes the secrets of others, insults people behind their backs, and turns private struggles into entertainment, understand what you are seeing. You are not receiving special trust. You are receiving a preview. People often believe, they tell me everything because we are close. Perhaps, but ask yourself, if they betray everyone else's confidence, why would yours be different? Integrity is not selective. A person with integrity protects people even when those people are not in the room. The sixth sign is that they only support you when they can benefit. Some relationships are built on convenience. The person calls when they need advice. They contact you when they need money. They remember you when they need help. But when you need support, they disappear. When you are struggling, suddenly they are busy. When you ask for something, your request becomes a burden. One-sided relationships can survive for years because one person keeps giving enough for two. Do not confuse your generosity with mutual love. Sometimes you are not experiencing a strong relationship. You are simply doing all the work. Stop overfunctioning. Stop chasing. Stop always being the one who calls. Stop always fixing the conflict. Stop always making excuses for their absence. Step back and observe what survives without your constant effort. That silence may teach you more than another conversation ever could. The seventh sign is disrespect, disguised as humor. They insult your appearance, your intelligence, your career, your partner, your dreams. Then, when you react, they say, "Relax. It was just a joke." Humor should not repeatedly require you to sacrifice your dignity. Everyone jokes. Everyone sometimes says the wrong thing. But repeated disrespect followed by, "I was joking," can become a shield people use to avoid accountability. Pay attention to patterns. One mistake is human. A repeated behavior is a message. The eighth sign is that they refuse responsibility. Every problem is somebody else's fault. Every conflict has another villain. They hurt you, but somehow you end up apologizing. They betray your trust, but somehow the discussion becomes about your reaction. This is emotional reversal. You begin defending yourself against the consequences of something they did. Healthy people are capable of saying, "I was wrong, I hurt you, I should not have done that. I understand why you are upset." Accountability is one of the clearest signs of emotional maturity. Be cautious around people who always have an explanation but never have responsibility. The ninth sign is control disguised as care. "I just want what's best for you." Sometimes those words come from genuine love, but sometimes they become a weapon. Someone may try to control who you see, what you wear, where you go, what career you choose. how you spend your money, who you marry, what you believe. Then they call this control care. Real care advises, control demands. Real care respects your freedom. Control punishes independence. A person can disagree with your choices and still respect your right to make them. You were not born to live according to somebody else's fear. The 10th sign is inconsistency. Their words and actions rarely match. They say they support you, but undermine you. They say they respect you, but insult you. They say they will change, but repeat the same behavior. They promise. You forgive. They repeat. You explain. They apologize. They repeat again. At some point, stop listening only to promises. Watch patterns. Words can be beautiful. Partouts are evidence. People show you who they are through repeated behavior. Believe the pattern. The 11th sign is isolation. Manipulative people sometimes try to separate you from anyone who might challenge their influence. They may criticize your friends, turn you against relatives, create suspicion, make you believe that only they truly understand you. Isolation makes control easier. Healthy relationships expand your life. They do not shrink it. A good friend does not need to become your only friend. A loving partner does not need you to abandon everyone else. A healthy family does not demand complete obedience in exchange for belonging. Love should give you roots, not chains. The 12th sign is that you are afraid to be yourself around them. You monitor every word. You constantly calculate their reaction. You hide good news. You avoid certain subjects. You minimize your personality. You become quieter, smaller, more careful. This is important. Peace is not merely the absence of arguments. Sometimes people live inside relationships with very little open conflict because one person has learned never to express themselves. That is not peace. That is suppression. True peace allows honesty. You should be able to exist without constantly walking on emotional glass. Now understand something equally important. Do not become paranoid. Do not begin labeling everyone toxic because they disappointed you once. People make mistakes. Friends have bad days. Families argue. Good people sometimes become jealous. Kind people sometimes say cruel things. Human beings are complicated. The goal is not to judge everyone. The goal is to observe patterns clearly. Ask, is this behavior occasional or constant? Do they take responsibility? Do they make genuine efforts to change? Can we communicate? Is there mutual respect? Can I set boundaries without being punished? These questions matter more than labels, because sometimes the real problem is not an evil person. Sometimes it is an unhealthy dynamic that has been allowed to continue for too long. And you may also need to look at yourself. It is easy to identify unhealthy behavior in others. It is harder to ask, where am I contributing to this? Do I communicate clearly? Do I expect people to read my mind? Do I become defensive? Do I gossip? Do I manipulate? Do I disrespect boundaries? Self-mastery requires self-examination. Do not use personal growth as a weapon to judge everyone around you. Use it as a mirror first. The strongest person in the room is often the one capable of correcting themselves. Now let us talk about boundaries. A boundary is not punishment. It is clarity. It says, this is what I will accept. This is what I will not accept. This is how I expect to be treated. And boundaries require consequences. If someone repeatedly violates your boundary and nothing changes, then it was not a boundary. It was a request. You do not need to argue endlessly. You do not need to explain yourself 20 times. Sometimes the strongest response is distance, less access, less information, less involvement. Silence can be a boundary. Distanced can be a boundary. Ending a conversation can be a boundary. Leaving a harmful environment can be a boundary. And remember, forgiveness does not require reconnection. You can release anger without reopening the door. You can wish someone well from far away. You can stop carrying bitterness while still protecting yourself. This is where many people become confused. They believe peace means allowing everyone back into their life. No, peace sometimes means closing the door without hatred. You do not need revenge. You do not need to expose anyone. You do not need to win the argument. Your greatest victory may simply be that they can no longer disturb your mind. That is power. When someone tries to provoke you, observe. When someone tries to insult you, observe. When someone tries to manipulate you, observe. Do not immediately react. A calm mind sees what an angry mind misses. Reaction gives people information. Silence gives you information. When you stop reacting immediately, you begin noticing motives, but those become clearer. You hear what is actually being said. You see where the conversation is being pushed. This is emotional discipline. Not weakness, not fear, discipline. You are not required to attend every argument you are invited to. Some battles are traps. Some people do not want understanding. They want reaction. They want chaos. They want to pull you out of character so that they can point at your response and ignore what they did. Do not give them that power. Stay calm, speak clearly, then step away if necessary. Your nervous system is not a playground for other people's unresolved emotions. Protect it. But never forget compassion. Sometimes people hurt others because they are deeply hurt themselves. Sometimes jealousy comes from insecurity, control comes from fear, anger comes from pain, manipulation comes from learned survival patterns. Understanding this can help you release hatred, but understanding does not mean tolerating harm. You can understand why someone behaves badly and still refuse to participate. Compassion without boundaries becomes self-destruction. Boundaries without compassion can become bitterness. Wisdom requires both, and one day you may discover that some relationships only existed because you tolerated what you should have challenged. When you change, the relationship changes. When you become stronger, some people become uncomfortable. When you stop gossiping, certain conversations disappear. When you stop lending money, certain phone calls stop. When you stop tolerating disrespect, certain friendships disappear. When you stop apologizing for boundaries, certain people accuse you of changing. And they are right. You changed. You learned. You grew. You stopped volunteering for your own suffering. There is nothing wrong with that. Growth has a cost. Sometimes that cost is access. Not everyone can come with you into every version of your life. Some people belonged to an older chapter. Respect the chapter, learn the lesson, then continue. Do not spend your entire future trying to maintain relationships that constantly drag you into your past. Your life is too valuable. Your peace is too valuable. Your time is too valuable. And your mind is too valuable. So, how do you spot the darkness in people close to you? You watch how they treat your boundaries. You watch how they react to your success. You watch whether their words match their actions. You watch how they speak about others. You watch whether they take accountability. This breath is. You watch whether the relationship gives you strength or constantly takes it away. But most importantly, you stop ignoring what you already know. Many people recognize unhealthy behavior long before they admit it. Your intuition whispers. You make excuses. The pattern repeats. Your intuition speaks louder. You make another excuse. Eventually life forces you to confront what you were avoiding. Do not wait until the damage becomes unbearable. Trust evidence. Trust patterns. Trust calm observation. Not fear. Not paranoia. Not assumptions. Observation. You do not need to hate people in order to see them clearly. And you do not need to call someone evil in order to decide that they cannot remain close to you. Sometimes the most mature sentence is simply, This relationship is no longer healthy for me. No dramatic ending, no revenge, no public battle, just a decision. There is incredible power in walking away peacefully. Anyone can leave angry. Anyone can slam a door. Anyone can insult someone. But leaving without hatred requires strength. You say, I learned what I needed to learn. I wish you well. But I choose peace. And then you move forward. Because your purpose is bigger than resentment. Your future is bigger than the people who misunderstood you. Your potential is bigger than every relationship that tried to keep you small. Do not let bitterness become another prison. The people who hurt you should not continue living inside your mind after they have left your life. Release them. Release the argument. Release the fantasy that one day they will finally understand. Maybe they will. Maybe they won't. That is no longer your responsibility. Your responsibility is your character, your peace, your discipline, your future. Surround yourself with people who can tell you the truth without trying to destroy you. People who can disagree without disrespect. People who celebrate your success. People who correct you privately. People who protect your name when you are absent. People who respect your boundaries. People who make you feel free to grow. Those relationships exist, but you create space for them by refusing to remain trapped in unhealthy ones. And finally, remember this. You do not defeat darkness by becoming darker. You defeat it by becoming aware, calm, disciplined, honest, strong. You do not need to become suspicious of everyone. You need to become wise enough to recognize patterns. You do not need to stop loving people. You need to stop abandoning yourself in the name of love. You do not need revenge. You need boundaries. You do not need another argument. You need clarity. Some people will understand your growth. Some will resist it. Some will leave. Let them. Your job is not to control who stays. Your job is to become the kind of person who no longer accepts chaos as love. And when you finally learn that lesson, something changes. You stop chasing explanations. You stop begging for respect. You stop trying to convince people to treat you properly. You observe. You decide. You protect your peace. And you continue walking, quietly, strongly, without hatred, without fear, without needing anyone's permission. Because the greatest protection you can build is not a wall around your life. It is wisdom inside your mind. And once you can see clearly, manipulation loses its power. Negativity loses its power. Provocation loses its power. And the people who once disturbed your peace discover something they never expected. They can no longer control your emotional world. You are calm. You are aware. You are free. And that is where your real strength begins.